Jet fans, what's going on? Happy Wednesday. Happy reporting day. The New York Jets report to training camp today. Beyond fired up to have some actual football news to finally start discussing about this team. 2019, this has been the year that I've been waiting for the last 2 years. You can check out any of the previous YouTube videos that I've done. The last 2 years was all about just kind of building that foundation, getting these young guys some experience, and then hopefully, this offseason, we were going to add enough pieces to be a legitimate contender, or at least start to get there. And I feel like we've done that with the moves we made this offseason. C.J. Mosley, Le'Veon Bell, Kalichi Osemele, Jamison Crowder, guys like that. I think they're going to have a big impact. I like all the moves they made. One move in particular, Henry Anderson, I think it does give them some great depth on the front four. But you look at the money that he got, 3 years, I think $27 million. Maybe you could have used that on another offensive lineman or another corner, especially after you drafted Quinnen Williams. Maybe the need for Henry Anderson wasn't as much. But speaking of Quinnen Williams, he's still not here yet. All right? And let's be honest for a second, all right? Because Shaq, I heard your call last night, all right? I heard your call talking about Maccagnan. That's fine, all right? I don't mind it. But let's be honest for a second. If Mike Maccagnan was doing these negotiations right now with Quinnen Williams, how many punchlines would there be about Quinnen Williams not being here? And let's also get another thing accurate. Last year, when Sam Darnold was not here on time, that was not because Mike Maccagnan was doing something wrong. All right, every news person was pretty accurate in their reporting information about what the contract holdout was about between Darnold and the Jets and his agent Jimmy Sexton last year. It was about the offset language and him trying to double dip. We remember all those reports that were coming out about that. This is completely different. The Jets are not paying Quinnen Williams his full bonus up front, which they have done with previous draft picks, which I believe almost all the top 10 picks this year also got all of their bonus money up front. And so, if you read the article that was put out, there were a few of them. Quinnen Williams basically right now living in Alabama. By the time he moves to Jersey, if he doesn't get the money up front, it's a difference of about $100,000 for him. So for the Jets to be penny pinching like that, when I know this wasn't Joe Douglas's precedent, this was what the organization did previously, but again, you had a number 3 overall pick last year that you gave the money to. I don't care if it's a quarterback or a different position. You gave the money to him last year. It would be a slap in the face not to give it to Quinnen Williams. And we're not talking about, being $1 million off. We're talking about $100,000. So for Joe Douglas or Chris Johnson or whoever it is to be drawing a hard line in the sand on $100,000 and Quinnen Williams is not going to be here possibly for the start of training camp, that's a bad look and that's a bad start. But I have not read one word yet critiquing Joe Douglas, right? He's immune, and that's fine. He's still in the honeymoon phase. He's still getting used to the job. He's still getting his bearings. That's fine. All right, I'm not going to criticize him, okay? But it's so hard to deny that there are so many fans that are so excited about this season right now, and we should be. We should be because we have a quarterback. We have young foundational players. We have leaders that we signed this offseason. We have reasons to actually be excited that this team could be good. Who put it all together? Okay, and I hate to keep going back to it, but if this season is a success, then there's a reason for that success because we built it the right way starting 3 years ago. Rip Maccagnan all you want for the first 2 years, but once they decided on, all right, we're going to completely tear this thing down and build a foundation the right way, like we should have did right from the beginning, once they started that, what are we complaining about? Okay, so that was why I did all those rants about Maccagnan, because I didn't feel like it was fair while they were trying to do a rebuild for, fans to be talking about wins and losses and, critiquing every single draft move when young foundational players are in place, right? There's no denying that the foundation for what we're hoping is going to be a Super Bowl very soon is there, right? If the coaching is there with Adam Gase and Greg Williams, if those guys are able to mold this talent, yes, this should be a playoff caliber team this year and moving forward, and a legitimate Super Bowl contender if Sam Darnold is a legitimate quarterback. And there's every reason to believe, with Adam Gase being a true offensive mind, a guy that can take advantage of mismatches on defense, use guys the right way, something Bowles couldn't do. I talked about that in my last video. If Gase is going to be what we need in a head coach, also a guy that can hold guys accountable, not afraid to discipline players, something that we didn't see with Bowles, who was very lenient with a lot of the veterans. If Adam Gase can, establish that culture, hold players accountable, while also molding Sam Darnold into that top 10 range by the end of this year, I think he could even be a top 5 quarterback going forward into years 3 and 4. I think he's that good. There was a reason he was number 1 on so many draft boards. I think he's that good. Heading into year 2, obviously you want to see a lot of the stuff with Darnold pre-snap. Reading defenses, knowing the playbook. We know he's been in the playbook all offseason. So I'm not too worried about that. But it is a new offense, so you have to expect some kind of learning curve there. He has some new weapons that he's working with. It's going to take some time to develop some chemistry there. But all in all, you want to see him able to read defenses, able to read blitzes, start to pick up a lot of things pre-snap. I thought for a rookie last year in camp, the way he was able to identify things at the line and make adjustments and make play calls and things like that, those aren't things you see from a rookie. All right, his pocket presence as well, how he moves around the pocket while keeping his eyes downfield. These are things that you don't typically see from a rookie. And so, when Darnold got hurt last year and then when he came back those final 4 weeks, he's even talked about it, how much that helped him mentally just to be able to watch McCown, watch his own film, and start to correct some of the things that he wasn't doing well early in the year. And it's so hard to deny that we didn't see those changes in the final 4 weeks when he was number 1 in QBR and, just lighting the league on fire. And again, that was with Jeremy Bates calling plays and next to no talent around him. So you add in Le'Veon Bell, you add in Jamison Crowder, a healthy Quincy Enunwa, a coach that's going to utilize Robbie Anderson not just as a deep threat. You talk about Le'Veon Bell being a Hall of Fame talent at running back, a guy who can have such an impact, not just in the run game, not just as a blocker, but as a receiver. We were talking about him last night on the show. He could be the team leader in receptions, him along with Jamison Crowder. Those guys could be right there, So there are so many pieces to work with. Obviously, the biggest thing is the offensive line. Can these guys mesh together? I think they can. You're talking about a lot of veterans with Osemele Beachum and Brian Winters. Brandon Shell entering year 4. He's somewhat of a veteran. He is coming off surgery, but again, it was a 4 to 6 week injury. I think he's been cleared for a while now, so I'm not expecting him to have much of a drop off. You hope that Chuma Edoga can push him a little bit, but the guy is young. He's talented and he has good footwork as a pass blocker, but he is very young. I wouldn't expect him to claim a starting job or even, beat out Brent Cavalli for the top backup tackle spot. I think that they're probably going to take it a little bit slower with him. The guy that you want to see, though, as a rookie make a major impact, and I said this in my last video also, Ja'Kai Polite. He could have such an impact for this defense if he is legit, because you know what you're going to get from Quinnen and Leo and even Henry Anderson on the front 4. You know what those guys are going to bring. You're going to have tons of interior pressure, okay? Jordan Jenkins, who's an 8-sack guy last year, even if you just get the same production out of him, maybe a little bit more, as a guy entering into a contract year, he's going to be plenty motivated. If Ja'Kai Polite can provide just some semblance of a pass rush on the opposite side, not just what it's going to do for the front 7 altogether, with the additions of Mosley and how it'll help Jenkins and how it'll help the guys on the interior, but think about what it's going to do for the secondary, right? Right now we're talking about Marcus May on the pup, and I don't want to go crazy about that because, everyone flips out about Marcus May or already calling him a bust. The guy played 16 games as a rookie. We forget that, all right? He was equally as good as Jamal Adams his rookie year, and he played all 16 games. He got hurt in the final game, all right? So a lot of the injuries, they kind of carried over into to the next season, and he ended up getting hurt again. So I have no problem with them taking a little bit more of a cautious approach entering training camp this year and kind of easing him into action. To call him a bust, I think, is silly. We all see that the talent is there. It's just a matter of him actually staying on the field. So, hopefully he's activated off the pup soon, and he'll be able to form that tandem that we know him and Maul can form. I know Tyson mentioned it last night about Jamal maybe becoming a potential defensive player of the year this year. I could definitely see that. I think we all see a little bit different version of Jamal Adams already. He's a little bit more, not that he wasn't in the past because he was always all about football, but it just seems like, the dancing and some of the other stuff, he doesn't care about that as much this year. I think he's all about football, all about making sure this team is able to take the next step. He recognizes his role and his responsibility in getting the team there as the face of the franchise. I mean, I know it's only year 3 for him. He's a young player, but he's already become the face of the franchise along with Darnold. And maybe you could even say a guy like Le'Veon Bell is, kind of becoming that just because of his star power. But, Darnold and Jamal, those are your 2 guys that are going to be the face on each side of the ball. So if you're able to get a healthy May to kind of complement Adams and what he could do, and you're able to get all that production out of your front 7, this team is set up good. I know cornerback is a little bit of a concern for some people. I think Tremaine Johnson's going to have a pretty solid year. I wouldn't expect him to be a number one, but if he's a low-end one or a high two, I think Quinnen Williams will be able to make that work. You hope Roberts can handle the increased responsibilities that he's going to have. I think he can. And then you really just need like one of the young corners to be able to emerge, whether it's a Perry Nickerson, a Derek Jones, even Bleswan Austin. I know he's not on the I don't think he was put on PUP, but I think he's on the non-football injury list or whatever it is right now. You know, if he's able to, I think he was cleared, so I don't know for sure how long it's going to be until he practices. But, you know, if he's able to get out there, he's a big, lanky corner with some speed. You know, I kind of see him more of a practice squad guy just because of the injuries and everything. But, yeah, I mean, you got some young guys there, so you're hoping at least one of them, if given the opportunity, is going to be able to step up. And if not, the team has $28 million. And that's what I keep kind of going back to. This is supposed to be a win-now year. I hope Joe Douglas has that approach. I know it's his first year, and if, you know, things don't go well, he has every excuse in the book. Oh, well, this wasn't my roster. I wanted to make sure I had money for, you know, to bring in my guys for next year. But we have $28 million to spend. I don't think we have many holes. You know, we already signed the veteran tight end in Ryan Griffin, which I thought was a good move. A guy who had 50 catches a few years ago. Good insurance if Wesco isn't ready, or, you know, just for, you know, when Herndon's out for the first 4 weeks. But, man, I look at this team, and I don't know, man. It's, hold up. I look at this team, and I start to get excited because this is where we want to be. We want to be in a position where we have the proven talent with guys like Bell and Adams, and, you know, I think Darnold's starting to get there and a few others, but it's going to create so many opportunities for some of these other guys like Bleswan Austin, or just some younger players who need better talent around them to succeed. And I think that has been part of the problem the last couple of years, where you don't have that elite talent to take pressure off some of the other guys, right? When Le'Veon Bell's out there doing his thing in the backfield, that's going to create so many opportunities for so many other guys. That's going to help out the offensive line. That's going to help out the quarterback. That's going to help out the wide receivers. You know, same thing with a guy like Marcus May. When he's, you know, doing his thing as a deep free safety, as a ball hawk, that helps out everybody else on the defense. So, you know, I think that at this point, that's kind of where the team is at. You know, they have a lot of the proven talent. Now it's just, hey, which young guys are going to make the most of their opportunities and prove that they're part of the solution going forward. So I'm excited to see it. Plenty of camp battles. We're going to have plenty of content coming up on the YouTube page. Make sure you guys are subscribed. You check it out. Going to have plenty of videos on here, plenty of post-camp recaps. Tyson's going to be doing his thing on some videos, so make sure you guys are checking it out. Talk to you soon. Go Jets.